When I was probably 12 or 13, I made like greeting cards, and my mom bought me a ledger, and so I kept track of my money in and out. And it's almost like since then, it was just something I was good at, and it was natural.
I love bookkeeping.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the I Love Bookkeeping show. I am your host, Ben Robinson. And as always, today we have a really great guest with us. She is a really awesome bookkeeper. She specializes in healthcare, working with pharmacy and veterans. She lives in lovely Arlington, Washington, which she said was about an hour north of Seattle. So definitely on my bucket list to go out there and see. She's the mother of two, Xander and Elisa, and she enjoys painting, hiking, and cooking, and long walks on the beach. Welcome to the show, Mary Andersen.
Thank you so much, Ben. I'm super excited to be here. This is the first time I've been on a podcast, so it's a bucket list.
You know what? It was the first time I've ever produced one. Well, this is like the 15th one, but I'm still learning too. So now I made up the last thing about you like walks on the beach, but
who doesn't?
You're not too far from the beach, right?
It's true. There's a few around. Yep. Yeah. That's correct. Oh. Yeah, it's nice.
Well, I am jealous. Like we were talking about in the show. It's beautiful in most places. I can think of a couple of states that aren't, but I'm not going to mention them because I'm sure we have listeners there. But anyway, all right. Well, thanks for being with us.
Really?
I always like to start off just with something. So hiking. Let's talk about that for just a second. What are there a bunch of good hikes around you there?
There are. My husband works up in the North Cascades off Highway 20, so it's been nice to kind of take advantage of that when he's up there. And I grew up around here, so I kind of know where all the good ones are. Love seeing the waterfalls, and there's some lakes, and yeah, I just love it. And now that we have kids, it's a great way to get out and be active.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the longest hike you've ever been on?
Longest hike, probably like 6 miles. Nothing crazy. I mean, I've done a half marathon though. That's not really a hike, but that's
no, that's no picnic right there either. Right? So yeah. Well, I'm sure going up and down mountains 6 miles is a lot more than walk flat. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So, this is the I Love Bookkeeping show. So we, of course, like to talk about all things bookkeeping as that goes. So let's talk about why in the world did you enter this crazy profession that we call bookkeeping?
Oh, that's a great question. It's something that I have always been good at. I could go really far back, and it's kind of an interesting story. When I was probably 12 or 13, I made greeting cards, and my mom bought me a ledger, and so I kept track of my money in and out. And it's almost like since then it was just something I was good at, and it was natural. So in high school, I was in a DECA club, which is like marketing, and I was an accountant for them. Usually 3 students do that job for the school stores. And then from there, I moved up to Bellingham, about an hour north, and went to school. And while I went to school, I was working full time. And I worked at a corporate office of a company that had 12 accounting in their accounting department. And I was one of 12. I did fixed assets, banking, and a little bit of general ledger stuff that they trained me on. So that was really great experience. So I kind of had that corporate office, experience working in a big team. And that was 3 years that I did that while I was going to school. I never actually finished my bachelor's. That was the plan. We ended up moving back down here where we're from. My husband and I, and ended up getting a position at a local independent pharmacy and was there for 9 years. It was really great to be working for a company that had a CPA who was really my mentor. He taught me, I think their thought was when they were going through and doing the hiring, and I later learned from the owner that essentially he hired me because of our relationship, and that we could talk, well. And so he hired me based on personality, not necessarily because I scored the highest on the test that the CPA had me take when they were screening. Right. Yeah. So that was a really great experience to just be able to have that CPA there to guide me when I had questions.
Right.
And that was good. And during that time, my husband actually deployed. And so I needed something to kind of keep me busy. We didn't have kids yet. And so representing the local pharmacy that I worked for as an office manager, full charge bookkeeper, I was I was nominated to be the president of the local business association. And I said, sure, why not? I need something to keep me distracted. And then that's really when my volunteer work helped launch me forward once I had the bookkeeping business. So I was at the pharmacy for 9 years. And then in 2014, my son was then 3, and, he had been in daycare full time up to that point, which was hard, expensive,
Sure.
of course, and I miss seeing him.
Mm-hmm.
And so a friend of mine was like, why don't you just do this for like a bunch of different companies? Because I was talking about wanting the flexibility, and I was like, that's a good idea. So it just kind of sparked this dream, really. And so in January 2014, I just got my business license. This is before I discovered Bookkeeper Business Launch, but I had that kind of knowledge behind me, and I went out on my own. I didn't enroll in Bookkeeper Business Launch until September 2018. Or no,
Okay.
2017. Sorry. So yeah, that's kind of what got me to the point of starting a business. I just wanted that flexibility and to be home with my little one.
And you're able to do that today, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, does your husband still serve in the military?
He's a reservist in the Coast Guard.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, thank you for his service, and thank you for your service, because I was in the Air Force, and so
that's right.
I understand that. This is back when planes were just being invented, right? So when I was in, it was a long time ago. But no, thank you for that. But so flexibility, that's kind of your word, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that was huge for me, and being able to be my own boss. I've always been self-disciplined, so it seemed like it wasn't going to be a challenge for me, and it's worked out good so far.
Absolutely. Let's dive into that, because that's one of the key characteristics that we know, and you just spoiled it right there for us, which is great, being self-disciplined. So
yeah,
how has that helped you? How has that attribute helped you in your business?
It has helped me, tremendously. I've always been a self-starter, and even back to the days when I was in the DECA club in high school, I led a team. And so I've always kind of been in those leadership positions, and then doing the Downtown Business Association thing. It's just something that I enjoy doing. And, people talk a lot about bookkeepers being introverts, but I actually have found through this experience that I'm actually more of an extrovert, which is kind of surprising. So, yeah. So I've been able to kind of take that, experience of being a leader and kind of know, like, time management is kind of what I think of as far as being able to manage your time and get the things done that you need to get done and make things happen.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that we talk about, is that everybody wants that freedom. They want the flexibility that you mentioned, but then we get it and we've never had it before. And we're like, holy cow, how do I deal with this? There's nobody there, like you said, to wake you up in the morning, to make you do your job. You do have to be self-disciplined. And so for you and for everybody else out there that's hearing this, if you want to have your own business, bookkeeping or otherwise, that's a huge quality that you have to have. Nobody's going to do this for you. Nobody's going to tell you where to go.
Nope.
So let's put this in terms of your family. What has this meant for your children, being able to be home?
Yeah. So when I started out in January 2014, I started out with 4 clients right away, because the pharmacy I worked for became a client. They were actually downsizing, so it was actually really good timing for them as well. They have a couple sister companies that I already did the books for anyways. And then I started working for a restaurant that was out our way. So I right away wasn't super busy, but it was nice because I kind of had this, took my son out of daycare. He was 3 at the time. And then I was able to really spend some good quality time with him, and then slowly built up my client base. I'm now up to 24 clients. So over this last 5 years, it's stepped up. And then I had my daughter in 2015, December 2015. And I have to tell you, that was when I was beyond thankful for this business. At that time I had probably like 15 or 16 clients in December 2015, and we found out a month after she was born that she had a heart defect. And so, I had kind of worked out a plan with all my clients, as far as most of the owners really had offered to just do the bookkeeping to kind of get through so I could have some time away, because I was just on my own then. And my sister, I trained her to do some of the work. And I was able to then spend time with my daughter and the doctor's appointments and all that. And during that time, my husband was he's a reservist, but he was on a 9-month deployment to Guantanamo Bay during that time when she was born and we found out she had this heart thing. So I mean, I don't know how I would have kept a full-time job going to all the doctor's appointments and being basically a single mom during that time. So that, I mean, when you ask that question, that's the first thing I think of is just I had the ability to step away and give more time. And it did mean working maybe strange hours, early morning or late night in order to be there for the kids and do what I needed to do. But I'm super thankful that I was able to do it.
Wow.
So it's been great for the family. Yeah.
Well, you get some sort of special badge for all of that you had to go through at once and, pretty much with your husband deployed. That's,
yeah.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a tough time, but I was able to lean on, all the people that I had met too during that time volunteering, doing the downtown business stuff. Some of those people are my best friends now. And were willing to do so much for me. And, we are military, but we are still in the town that we grew up in. So I'm a little bit unusual that way. A lot of, military families, they don't have a lot of people around. So I was lucky.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow. So with 24 clients, do you work full-time in your business, part-time?
I work 20 to 30 hours a week, I would say. And then I have a contractor that works about 8 hours a week for me. And I just hired her last June. So it hasn't even been a year that I've had someone on board.
Okay.
She's a contractor, and it's been great because I think if I had to work that extra 8 hours, it would be hard to volunteer at school for my son. It would be hard to take my daughter to play dates and, do what I want to do. So that's been awesome. It's a little bit more nerve-wracking having somebody work for me, but it's been a good thing.
That's awesome. Do you have an S on your shirt? Because you sound like Superwoman here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just amazing. It always gives me chills to hear stories like that. And just, hey, I'm just doing it, right?
Yeah.
So good for you.
Thank you.
All right. So let's talk about these 24 clients because that didn't just fall out of the sky, right? I mean, you had 4 when you started, but that's 20 more that you've added. So what's your secret? Like, how do you go out there and get your clients?
Oh, it all goes back to that CPA that mentored me when I got the office manager position at that pharmacy. They hired me at $13 an hour back in 2005, and he trained me up to do, to know what I needed to know to perform that position. And he has been referring clients my way ever since.
Wow.
So that is huge. CPA.
Have all the clients come that way?
Let me think. No, I have a couple that have come through my volunteer work. So the Downtown Business Association, I'm involved with the chamber, and then also my son's PTA at the school. So some of my clients, I have about 8 of that 24 that are more consulting clients. And so those ones have been more through the business networking and the volunteer work. But most of my hardcore, monthly clients are from that CPA. Yeah.
Wow. And that just goes to point that you never know what relationship is going to be that gold mine.
It's true.
And whether you're looking at referral partners or yakety yakking, as we talk about here, we never know where they're going to come from. And that right there, you struck a gold mine. So that's
Absolutely.
good.
I feel super lucky that I have that. And it's a CPA firm, so they have multiple CPAs in there, and I have other ones calling me asking if I'm taking on more clients. And right now I'm really trying to be disciplined in getting my systems and processes down, and I don't want to add clients right now, and I'm being more, picky on who I'm taking on. And so they kind of know that. And I've struggled with, I don't want to tell anybody no, because I don't want them to stop referring. So then when I am ready to take on more, but I've just been open and communicating with them and really waiting for my 3-year-old to start school. So
there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, hurry up, get out the door.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's right. Say it tongue in cheek.
And actually, I'm here today working at a co-working space at our chamber that I've helped them open up in Arlington. We've been open since September, and I opened a second business doing a drop-in childcare for moms that need a place to work. So
Well, good grief, Mary.
she
I
is
mean,
here working in a few doors down, and then I have another mom that is in there today, and I just opened this business this month. So, but it's
wow.
been a way for me to not have to put her in daycare because I felt like I was going backwards. She's in daycare up to now 2 days a week full time, and I felt like I was going back to why I started this. So I, kind of
Right.
going back to my why, and so it's like, why don't co-working spaces have childcare? And there's logistics and sound and that kind of thing, but I just decided to go for it, and now I'm just trying to get the word out in our community. It's kind of a new term, co-working, but
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
yeah, so it's been great to have her here, but I'm really trying to be careful on where I spend my time until she's in school full time, like my
Absolutely.
brother. Yeah.
Yeah. Good for you. What's your favorite thing to do inside of your business?
Favorite thing to do inside of my business. I actually have a creative side, so I actually enjoy creating content and, marketing materials and, getting the word out that way. And that, going to the chamber lunches and that kind of thing. And, having those conversations at some of those networking events. I really like if I could just have bookkeepers doing like me getting the clients and having bookkeepers do all the work, that would be my dream.
Well, and that's usually the flip flop. Most
Yeah.
bookkeeping
Yeah.
professionals are, I just want to do the work.
That's how I
Somebody else
used
go
to
get my
be.
clients. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
it's
really? That's how you use it. You've
oh
evolved
yeah.
to this then, huh?
Oh, for sure. I was voted quietest girl in my senior class. Yeah, I was not a talker at all, but it's once you do it and do it a little more, you get super comfortable. And, just throwing myself in to those positions, volunteer positions, president of the business association and then treasurer a few years after that, you just end up talking to people and you form those relationships. So, the whole know, like, and trust thing
Mm-hmm.
has been really clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, with all those relationships that I've made over those years. So
So
that's been great.
what's the thing in your business? I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, you're fine.
Um, uh, what's the thing in your business that you just, it's like fingernails on a chalkboard that you just,
Oh,
that's not what I want to do.
yeah. Really, it's keeping up on my emails.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I'm always worried I'm going to miss something, and so I'm getting some good systems down. I use a system called GQueues, which is through Google, and it's like a to-do list app, and it's free. And so that has made me be a little bit more, it's not as bad of a task to kind of see what do I need to get done today, but I just feel like I'm wasting time if I'm not getting something done trying to figure out what I need to do, if that makes any sense. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just all about productivity, and so just kind of trying to make sure I'm not missing anything.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about what you want to be when you grow up. I always say that about myself. And so you've already are an adult more so than I am, but let's, like after your daughter goes to school, is
Yeah.
that next year?
It'll be 2 years, two more
Okay.
Septembers that she's home with me. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So in 2 years, so what's your vision for this business? Like let's look out 3 years from now. What does your business look
Yep.
like?
Yep. So I would like to double the number of clients I have and then have a full-time bookkeeper on board and then be adding. I mean, the contractor I have, she's constantly like, do you have another project for me? So I'm constantly recording videos of how I do something and just sending stuff over to her, trying to keep her busy because I don't want to lose her. I think about if she left, that's just super scary. But adding a full-time bookkeeper and then having me, do the marketing side and be there to help them and consult with clients. And, I have all those relationships with those business owners. So just being able to spend time with them. The other thing that pushed me to open my business too, I didn't mention, is a friend of mine was opening a veterinary practice. And she said, I just won't trust anybody else to do my books. Can you do my books? And it's like, well, I'm working full time at this other place. So that kind of pulled me the other direction too. And so, being able to serve her and serve that business that I worked for 9 years, that's what I would love, just to be able to keep doing that and then have someone doing the in the weeds stuff. Yeah.
Okay. I gotcha. All right. Well, that's great. I mean, it's great that you've looked out that way. And that's one thing that a lot of us don't do, right? We just so live in the business day to day, trying to get stuff done that we really never say, hey, what am I doing here? Where is it that I want to go? So always having what my coach Cameron Harold says is your vivid vision, reaching out 3 years and saying, what does it look like when I walk around my business, whether that's virtual or physical? How's it feel, right? And what is it that I want?
Yep, absolutely. And I was listening to one of the other shows, episode 2. She was talking about bringing her husband out of his job to work with her. And I'm curious to learn what kind of tasks that he does. But that's something that I've thought about. Wow, I mean, how amazing would that be? I know I follow some different, moms that have businesses and blogs or whatever, and they are able to bring their husbands home. And that just seems like huge picture to me, but that would be pretty amazing to be able to do something like that. So, that's kind of in the back of my head too. But he's not really the type to sit at a laptop and do bookkeeping all day. So I'd need to kind of figure out how that would work.
Yeah, that was Tracy Thomas, I believe, is the interview that you're listening to. Yes. She's great. I believe that's episode 4 that we just released. Okay. But okay, so you got this vision where you want it to go. Well, look, one practical thing that I would tell you right now, and you've already got one side of this, but never ever stop marketing and stop looking for good people. So with the one contractor, it's great that you have her. Okay. Yep. I would start looking for a second one. Doesn't mean that you have to give them a ton of hours.
Sure.
But just starting to look doesn't mean that if you find someone, you have to hire them right now. But a lot of times what happens is that bookkeeper decides that she's just tired, or she wants to leave, or they move, or whatever the case may be. And now you're left and there's no backup, right? 1 is none and 2 is 1. Your husband would know that from the military. It's a saying that we get all the time. So I would tell you to always be recruiting good people, especially for where you want to take your business, and always be marketing.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you have to hire. Doesn't mean you have to take them on as a client. But the position in which we're reactively trying to go out there and find somebody to hire because we've lost somebody, that's not the position we want to be in.
Absolutely. I agree. Okay.
And even if you find somebody that just wants to take on 3 or 4 hours, maybe that's not ideal for them, but you have somebody that you're starting to work into the mix. And so I would just encourage you to not wait until that time. It may never happen. We hope it never happens, but we don't want to be totally dependent upon one person.
Yeah. No, that's good advice. I agree.
Yeah. Ask me how I know on that one, right? Most of these things I burned on. So, okay. Well, good. That's good. All right. So I know that we want to chat about this opportunity that's in front of you. So why don't you tee it up for me and for everybody else, kind of what you're looking at here with your business and how I can help.
Yeah, absolutely. So the clients that I have so far, I guess I would be considered a bookkeeper that does tax compliance. I make sure everything's reconciled. I, make sure that their bills are paid and that kind of thing, and make sure everything's ready for the CPA. They don't want their CPA to be cranky at the end of the year when everything's a mess. So that's really the service that I'm offering to most of my clients. And then I'll look at, trending and some of that kind of stuff really more on an annual basis or as they ask for it. And what I've learned through your course where I'm lacking and why I'm not charging the rates that I should be is I'm not doing that interpret and advise portion of what bookkeeping really is for my clients on a regular basis. And therefore, I'm not charging what I would like. And so then I just keep adding clients to increase my revenue. And then I'm working harder and not smarter. So I need to find out how to convey to my current clients. I mean, that's my biggest problem. How to convey to my current clients that this is something that they need. And then, talk about, increasing rates and that kind of thing.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So I know exactly where you are in this because I was in your shoes, and it's kind of a 2 or 3 prong approach. And that's what we'll cover here. Okay. But before we kind of get into that, the current clients that you have, what additional services have they explicitly asked you for as it relates to interpret and advise, or have they?
They haven't really. And when I go in, I have a dental client, which I know you're familiar with dentists, and I went in and this was one the CPA referred to me. This will be a great client for you. They're awesome. They just the owner wants to get away from doing the books. okay, that makes a lot of sense. And so I went in and, looked at what they needed me to do. And then I had the conversation about, well, what about your financials? How often do you look at them? And they're like, oh, we're comfortable looking at them. Don't worry about that. And this was before I did your course too. So I just kind of said, okay. And, so I do their bookkeeping, make sure it looks good. And they don't come to me and ask. And even when I asked them what they need, they said they don't need anything. And I feel like what I've learned through your course is that they probably do. It's just my job to bring it to the forefront and show them, what they might be missing out on. And I know that can be different for different industries. So I need to kind of drill down on what that would be for dentists and my veterinarian client and pharmacies. So.
Okay. All right. So the two-prong approach that I was talking about before is that we have these current clients. And so it's harder to go back in time or to go back to these clients and say, hey, I'm going to start adding this other value. Now pay me more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So one thing that I'm going to tell you to do or encourage you to do, I should say, Mary, is that on the new clients that you're taking on right now, you don't have to have any new clients for economic purposes. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So it's more of a desire to grow your business, or obviously earn more and work a little bit less, the holy grail, if you will, holy trinity of the business. So you're not in a pressure situation to bring on more clients and more money, right?
No, correct.
Is that okay? All right. So that's good. That means the ball's in your court. The pressure is off of you. So what I would tell you is to first and foremost, really be selective about the clients that you take on in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And by selective, I mean ones that buy into this vision for providing the advisory services. Okay. Because what's really hard to do is to educate and then to sell, right? Because what we have to do going back to the clients is we have to educate them as to what this is. And then they're like, okay, I see the value in it. Now we have to sell them. So it's a two-step approach. And so on the future clients, what we want to do is to kind of, I don't want to say work with higher echelon, but that's kind of what it is. Clients that are more sophisticated or at least have a more of a burning desire to better their business when it comes to dollars and cents.
Right.
You see what I mean by that?
Yep.
And so, and the great news about that is that you're going to need fewer clients to maintain, so instead of doubling your business, it may be that you take on another dozen, right? That you just quote unquote increase by 50%, but the new clients that you bring on are of substantial size, bigger than the ones that you're taking on now.
Okay.
Because you're providing that value, right? You're not just checking boxes and reconciling and things like that. Very important that we do all that, right? Yeah. But it's historical, it's foundational, it's not transformational. So that's the one thing that I would tell you to be doing, okay? Is to really look at those clients that are going to value you and they're not looking for the cheapest price. They don't care as long as they are getting quality service as it comes to financial statements presentation and timeliness, but then more important, hey, how do I help you to take your business to the next direction? Working together to collaborate as a team, you and me and anybody else that's in the client's financial realm, working together. Because it used to be that clients and your clients' existing ones are probably a lot like this. Most of ours are that they want to abdicate. They want to say, hey, here's the bookkeeping. Good luck. Don't bother me with it.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. It sounded like kind of your dental client, right?
Yep.
And yeah, we'll look at it on our own and we'll do that at never o'clock.
Yeah.
That's kind of what they're just saying, right? I want to be down in the mouth working on patients. And that's fine. You can provide value for them, but in terms of providing advisory services, it's going to be a hard sell to them.
Yeah.
But when you're going out there and trolling for new clients, it's not going to be, because you're only going to accept those who already buy into this philosophy.
Right. Okay.
Now that's the good news. The bad news is that 90% of them out there don't even know about this philosophy because nobody is providing this. And so by you doing this, you're introducing a new concept of, you're also giving them aha moments like, oh my gosh, somebody can actually do that for me. That's pretty awesome.
Right.
So it kind of starts there, working with the new clients. Now, let's back up though, okay? That doesn't mean you can't offer this to your existing clients. You should, okay? But while you're doing that, and while you're going out there and looking for, more higher caliber clients, we need to start educating ourselves on what are the services that they truly would value. Because we think, hey, they would love to value a budget, No, that's a 4-letter word to a business owner. They don't want a budget. They want the result maybe of a budget, but they don't want us to talk about budgets. That just, the hair on the back of their neck stands up. So the great thing that you have right here is a built-in think tank in your existing clients to start speaking with them about these advisory services. And I would just encourage you to, the next time you start presenting financial statements to your clients, is this something that, do you walk through with the clients that care about it? Do you walk through on a monthly basis the results of their financials?
I do with some of them, and I'm actually kind of fortunate in that I take care of one. I classify them as separate clients because I'm doing the books for 6 different businesses, but actually it's one owner. So that's been nice. We meet about quarterly, and then I do monthly for like 6 other ones. And then the rest just say, nope, it doesn't matter, and I will, I will pull a P&L if I want to see it. And that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So for those who do care and that do, I don't mean care, but the ones that you speak with on a regular basis.
Yeah.
What I would like for you to do is, to the next time you're having these conversations with them about their financials, is to plan some time to talk about, what is it that you really want in your business? Where are you taking your business? What is it, that you're looking for as it relates to money in your business? And really start probing into how you can help them to get that.
Okay.
There's a concept called jobs, pains, and gains as it relates to business owners and to any consumer for that fact. But what are the jobs or the roles that they are doing in their business that they don't like, that you could remove from them?
Okay.
You're already doing that by saying, hey, I don't want to do the bookkeeping.
Right.
The exact situation you explained about your dentist, right? You took that away from her.
Yep.
She didn't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
But okay, what are the pain points that they have? And then what are the gains that they want? So going into these conversations, and you go through the financial statements and talk to them and do the things that we normally do, answer questions, but then say, hey, let's change gears. Let's start looking out 3 years in the future. Let's talk about where it is you're going with this business. What does it look like? What's revenue? And so what you're doing is you're doing market research, and you're asking them basically, you tell me what's valuable to you.
Right.
Rather than me saying, hey, here's what's valuable to you. Want to pay me for it?
Okay. Yeah.
Which is the approach that I took and fell flat on my face. And so rather than investing all this time, resources, energy, money, and all into, what are advisory services for my clients? Don't guess, ask.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Okay.
So on one end, you're doing market research here with your current clients. That's great. And be sure that you pay really close attention. And if you can, record those conversations, get their permission, obviously, so that you can refer back to them and start looking for these key phrases.
Okay.
Because what you want to do is you want to mimic back to them what they're saying. You want to make sure that you clearly understand it. And when they say, you know what, I want to have enough cash. Why is that important? What does enough cash mean? Really diving in, because they're going to give you surface questions, right?
Yeah.
Or surface answers.
Yep.
But really kind of what Ross O'Loughlin refers to as the 5 levels of why. Why do you want that? Why is that important? What does it mean? Let's get specific. Let's add numbers and dates and all these things. And you're going to seem like a shrink to them, but they're going to love you for it, right?
Yeah.
Now, some people might go, why are you asking all these questions? And just go, well, I just want to help you with your business.
Right.
So they're probably not going to buck. So you're over here doing market research, right? And you're also learning, okay, with these new clients that I'm going to be bringing on, I'm going to take that information and now convey that over to them. Hey, my clients in the past have told me that they really value this. Is that what something you value? Yes, it is. Okay. And so over here, you're going to be proposing that up to new clients.
Right. Okay.
Now, remember, we're paid in proportion to the value that we put into the marketplace. So if you're able to help a business owner to increase cash flow by $100,000 a year through your advice, that's very valuable. Much more valuable than reconciling, giving it over to the CPA. Those things are valuable, but it's kind of like saying, hey, what's this, little gold ring that I got out of the treasure box worth versus this big diamond over here? It's a lot more valuable. and you're getting that information directly from your clients and prospective clients.
Right. Okay.
And in the middle is that you're now, when you're figuring out what the need is, I never try to create a need, or say, hey, here's a product. Now, do you want to buy it? I'm like, no, tell me what you need and let me create something around that.
Okay.
And so also in this, you're going to be creating a system. I want you really to encourage you to start thinking about a system that you can brand. And this is going to be probably the worst one ever, but like the pharmacist profit guide or something that is from the words that they're giving you.
Okay.
That identifies them as their niche, right? So for you, you'll probably have to do one for dentistry, pharmacies, and then for veterinarians.
Right.
But it's probably a lot of the same stuff.
Yep. Oh, yeah, for sure.
But what could you brand? What could you coin? What could you make that's proprietary to you based upon all this work that you're going to be doing? It's fun, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no, it would be. And that's something that I know I'm lacking, is especially when I start thinking about narrowing down on my niche. It's having something like this and then using it to, build that email list for leads.
Yep.
For leads. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So I know this is something that I need to do and have that out there.
Well, it's not. You're not lacking in it. It's just the timing hasn't been right up to this point. It's led to where you are now. Has led to this point where you're getting to the advisory services. Right. But it's important to take that client-centric approach, right? Really looking at it from their angles rather than saying, "Hey, here's what I'm going to add up to it."
Right.
Now, just because we know what they want and we're selling it over here to new clients, now we got to be able to deliver it, though, right?
Yes.
And so in between, this is where you're really going to be boning up on what are these advisory services, okay? Maybe they're starting to talk about cash flow management. Maybe they're starting to talk about, with insurance payments, there's learning that you're going to have to do. Yep. And so there's the knowledge side of things, like when you were going through Bookkeeper Business Launch, there's knowledge stuff, but there's implementation. So another little trick for you is to, once you start getting some momentum, you start saying, hey, I think I could do this, but I've never done it before, so let me do it. Well, rather than just doing it on paper, go actually do it for a client, an existing client. And at the end of your conversation with them, somebody who would care, right? One of those 6 that you have or the other ones that you meet with, say, hey, guess what? This month I did a cash flow analysis for you, or a forecast, and I want to present that to you. And watch their eyes light up and then listen to their feedback.
Okay.
Because they weren't expecting that. Right. And you're not going to get paid for it, by the way, not initially. You're just surprising them. And so the worst thing it does is it gives you experience and puts goodwill into the relationship.
Okay.
And that right there, all of those things start to build off of each other and start to transform you from just historically based to forward-looking to advisory services.
Yep, exactly. And I know, and I feel like that it's kind of more fun too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And I have, some, as far as the pains that I know that they've mentioned or things they're concerned about, I just now need to keep having those conversations and gathering that information. But also, for example, like fraud prevention. Dentist office has had issues with that in the past. And they asked me how I could possibly take a look and make sure that's not happening. And so, I dug through their POS, contacted their POS company, and tried to figure some of that stuff out. But I feel like, trying to figure out exactly what I can do to then present to other clients, how to create a great tool, I guess. I pulled up some reports and looked at it with them and said, hey, you may want to review, these reports on a regular basis, but I couldn't necessarily spot, I'm not a fraud analyst, I guess. But I feel like that's one area where I could, and you probably know because you've been in the dental industry too, I could create something around that, or, practice is looking at selling in the next 5 years. How can I help them position and prepare for that? So it's like, I know there's things, I just need to figure out the tools to help them along.
Absolutely. And you find that by asking them. Now, I'll tell you, as you're starting to add on these services, after you've listened to them and you've gotten feedback, look for the things that are the lowest hanging fruit, right? The things that they've mentioned that, hey, that's right there. I don't have to go get a PhD for that. I don't have to,
Right.
It's low hanging. It's easy. It's relatively easy to the other things, and stuff that you could put on semi-autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
So, if there's ways in which you can use an application, we know that applications aren't solutions, but
Mm-hmm.
look at it in those three criteria: what's lowest hanging, what's easiest, and what's something that I can at least autopilot or create a system so that I'm not having to work a ton more to produce this result.
Right.
But as you progress through, you'll find that advisory services are more about the one-on-one relationship and dialogue than they are about an application.
Okay.
But that's the thing that separates you and isolates you from any artificial intelligent bot keeper automation that's not going to be able to provide.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
It is not an overnight thing.
Mm-hmm.
Look at it like you do everything else. This is a journey. It's not a destination.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the timing will be great for you, especially because by the time your daughter does go to school, you could probably have this done and be making a lot more money, working less. But the most important thing is putting a lot more value into the marketplace. You're providing a ton of value now just by taking that pain off of them and that job off of them. But now let's take it to the next level.
Mm-hmm. Right. Absolutely.
Makes sense?
Yep. It does make sense. That's great.
Okay. Well, I like to make sense. That's what's that?
Got my work cut out for me.
All right. Well, let's talk about that. So based on this conversation, I like to bring it down to implementation and action.
Yep.
So I want you to tell me, Mary, what's your action? What are you going to be doing as a result of our conversation here today?
First thing would be opening up that dialogue, especially, with the clients that maybe we're not meeting monthly, and making sure they know that I'm there to listen to what their concerns might be or where I can help them through different issues. And I find that the clients, even though I kind of have 3 different niches, a lot of them have the very similar issues with insurance payments and that kind of thing. So first of all, opening up the dialogue and then trying to see maybe if clients all have something in common and start with that so I can maybe spread that value among more clients and kind of honing in on that. That's the first step.
All right.
And then creating some kind of tool that I can implement and get out to them and show them, like you said, you don't get paid for it right away, but then being able to use that to then get out there and find new clients that are, in my ideal client that's willing to pay for that service. So
good.
Yeah.
All right. What else? One more.
What's that?
One more.
One more.
One more. I wrote down your action items for you back here.
Perfect.
So yeah. Yes.
Creating a system to be able to implement that, whatever that tool is, and get that, especially if I have somebody working for me, those systems are important. So getting that system in place so that I can implement that tool and provide that service to my clients.
Educate yourself too on how to do all that.
Right.
And the final one I'll give to you, because I know it's been a brain-wrenching thing here, is looking for that second contractor.
Yes. Thank you. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So let's, which of those 4 things that we listed there do you think is most important for you right now?
Well, probably that second contractor, which is why I should have remembered that one first. Because like I've said, if my existing contractor were to have something happen for whatever reason, I would be in a bit of a tailspin trying to get everything done. So, and right now I'm just too scared to take on more clients. But if I had that person that can, do the bookkeeping, things that need to be done, the day-to-day stuff, then I think I would feel more comfortable being able to do that and not say no to everybody all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
By when are you going to have Ben doesn't let you walk away easily, right? Because I want to make sure that
That's good.
We all have this. So by when will you have that other contractor, quote unquote, engaged?
I would say by the end of May would be a good amount of time. Before summertime's here, summer is kind of slow for us, looking at the whole year. So that would be good time to be able to, work with that person and kind of get that.
All right. So whatever you use to look at your goals, right? If it's that GQ that you, I'm still thinking about the gentleman's quarterly magazine when I hear that. But whatever you use, I would put that I will hire a second contractor on May 31st, 2019.
Yes. Action item.
And
I like it.
Start working on that. Don't wait until May the 28th because this is a process. This takes time.
No,
sure. And also with this, just a caveat, make sure that you have an open dialogue with your existing contractor and let her know why you're doing this.
Okay.
So that she doesn't feel that you're, just be open, totally honest and open. Go, look, 1 is none, 2 is 1.
Right.
And I want you to stay with me. We have a great working relationship. I want to be able to give you more work. But what would happen if you left? Yeah. And so this is why we're doing this. Just be totally open. People, they understand that. They don't understand what they don't understand when you're just doing something and they're worried.
Well, honestly, I think you would appreciate it because what's happening now is she isn't a bookkeeper. So she's doing data entry. She's more of a VA, I guess you could say. So what's happening is I become the bottleneck. So she gets stuck on a bank reconciliation and then I'm the bottleneck. And then she's like, hey, have you had a chance to finish that yet? So really having someone who is a bookkeeper and can do that problem solving, she can go to that person first, be able to keep pushing things through. So actually, I'm kind of excited for that conversation now that you talk about it that way.
Well, good. Well, good. Yeah. That's what we want.
She'll like that.
That's awesome. All right. Well, Mary, it sounds like you got plenty of implementing to do from today. Is there anything else that we can help you with here?
Oh, I don't think so. I know where to go to get the answers I need. So yeah, this has been great. I really appreciate it. And I'm loving all that I'm learning from your other shows too. So it's awesome.
Well, thank you very much. It's, again, it's from me, it's a perspective of I did a lot of things wrong, but then figured out how to do them right. Yeah. And together we all can really change this industry and do exactly what you're talking about doing right now. So kudos to you on that, Mary, and for also being super Mary, Superwoman.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for being on here today, Mary.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ben.
Listen, if you would like to hear more great conversations just like today's, then I want you to head on over to ilovebookkeeping.com. There, you're going to find all of the shows, the notes, and some other great goodies that we have for you there. Now, if you'd like to be a guest on the I Love Bookkeeping show, there is a link that says Be a Guest. Go in there, and we'll walk you through the process of getting on the show. And finally, to discover more about our programs, go to the courses page on the ilovebookkeeping.com site. There you have it, another great episode of I Love Bookkeeping. Thank you for being a proud listener, and thank you for being a bookkeeping professional. Enjoy the rest of your week.
I love bookkeeping. Here's a little shout to all my friends working hard at keeping the books. You want to change your life, you want to grow that biz, it's not as hard as it looks. Be a money guide, a profit coach, step up your game and see. You'll be working less and making more, and that's the way it's gonna be.